Welcome back to the Fresh Outlook Business Symposium. I'm your host, Johnny G. Today we got a special topic, and before I begin, I started this podcast vlog to inspire, motivate, and give a fresh outlook in today's business world. And today our topic is luxury cars, and specifically, I want to talk about Mercedes Benz. And we got a special guest. He is the fleet manager at the local Encino Mercedes Benz. So no further ado, I want to introduce Varouj Narghizian. So Varouj, hey, thank you for coming today. And yeah, so tell me about yourself, and what's your current position? How'd you get there? And everybody got a story to tell. And what's your story?
The story is I've been in the business for almost 19 years. It started back in about 2002 at Mercedes-Benz of Calabasas, actually, right up the road. I was there for about 10 months back in 2002, and this is before internet. So like before the internet sales became big, I moved from Mercedes-Benz of Calabasas, and I got a job opportunity at Mercedes-Benz of Beverly Hills, and that's where I was at the majority of my career. So I was there for 14 years, and I started off as an internet manager, and back then nobody knew anything about that. So I was handling all the internet leads and trying to respond to everybody all over the country. And this is completely foreign to all car dealerships back in 2002, 2003, 2004. So I took it from 2003 to about probably 2006, 2007, just strictly internet. And then the business boomed. I mean, it really, really did. I mean, you took all the people that were, just sending you leads that didn't really want to go into the dealership, that wanted numbers over the internet and didn't even want to call you, and just wanted to find out how much, such and such cost 36 months at 10,000 miles, you this much down, and I went from there to managing an entire sales force. So in 2007, I got promoted to managing the entire sales force, which was around 20 to 25 sales consultants. So I did that up until about 2016. And then I got married. And then I ended up moving over to the Valley. Bought a home in the Valley, living in Encino, working in Encino. My old boss back at Beverly Hills came over to the Valley, took me with him. And then I came here, and instead of managing, I kind of went back to doing what I did, which is strictly selling. So no more managing, just managing myself basically, and managing all my clients, my book of business that I have, and that's what I'm focusing on now and doing now.
So when you started, you were in those chat rooms trying to get people's information, AOL,
yeah. All of it.
So you were the hustler online, trying to get people to look into purchasing Mercedes.
You have to respond quick. I mean, they would send they send a lead, and their lead goes to the local dealership. So when I was in Beverly Hills, it would go to the dealership in Santa Monica, it would go to downtown LA, it would go to Arcadia, it would go to Glendale, Van Nuys. So the first person to usually respond usually ends up getting the sale. So that's how I pretty much started. And the quicker I was responding, I had all these templates of automatic responses. Before that was even around, I started that. And I would send out this generic template, and they would think it's really me talking to them, but I would respond back in a minute. Yeah. And they're like, oh wow, this guy's automatically talking to me. So I did that, and then they would just start asking me a bunch of questions about the car, the deal. And that's how I got started.
Any I'm pretty sure people want to know any famous people that you sold the car to online in the chat rooms.
Online, not really, but every now and again I get business managers that call me, for some of their clients. But you sell cars to athletes sometimes. I mean, when I was back at Beverly Hills, I got a lot more than I did in the Valley. Yeah. Back at BH, I got some of the Lakers, like Julius Randle. When he was a Laker, he bought a car from me. And then we had Nick Young, who lives in the Valley. He bought a car as well. And then Hilary Swank, an actress, Academy Award winner. She got a car off me as well. I never spoke to her, never even saw her, but her business manager reached out to me. Jack Nicholson. I mean, these are,
Yeah.
you never see them at all.
What about Michael Jordan in the front, behind you?
Oh, no. One day I'll sell a car to Mike. I hope I will.
You'll probably want to buy a Maybach, you know.
I know. Let's hope so.
So shifting gears, and we're talking about people. Are there any influential like role models that kind of like paved your career in Mercedes Benz?
Definitely. I mean, my first guy that pretty much brought me into the business was actually my dad. My dad's been in the business for 30 years. And he was more of like, but like I'm on the retail side of the business and he's more like on the wholesale side of the business. So he would like come up to like someone like you and try to buy your car from you directly and then try to, you know, go to, you know, 4 or 5 different of his connections that he would have that specialize in the car that you would drive and try to sell that car for as much money as he could sell it for and then just do it all over again. So he wouldn't really be at a dealership per se, but he would just do it where he would try to find people in the newspaper back when like classified ads were the main source of like selling cars. You stick your car in the classifieds and he would call you and try to drive out to your house and try to strike up a deal and things like that. He was big. I mean, he was a very, very big part of my life. Taught me the business inside and out, taught me how to, you know, look at a car, see if it's been hit, check the paint, check the tires, check the service records, check the manuals and things like that. And then once I actually got into the dealership world, I mean, there's been a lot of guys. There's like 4 or 5 guys that have been in the business for a long time that just like taught me how to be a pro. And the old adage of, you know, you come to work, and if you're there for, if it's 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, sometimes 12 hours a day, to make all those hours count and never really to like, you know, they always told me block out the noise. That was their main thing with me. You know, like don't talk to a lot of the sales guys on the floor, focus, stay in your lane. Because you can get caught up in all kinds of, you know, political things at a dealership and you don't want to get involved with that. So basically try to stay in my lane and try to make as many phone calls, try to greet as many people as I can, and just try to make every minute that you're actually at the store and make it useful, because then it'll start generating all the business and then you get the sales out of it and then it becomes rewarding because you get paid.
Yeah, you touched upon a little bit about rewards. So kind of want to get into the business. I mean, what are the challenges? You know, you talked a little bit about that, but you know, like, is there any issue that you never thought of that people that want to get into business, into this type of business? You know, like you talk about rewards, challenges. If you could touch upon that.
Some of the rewards, some of the challenges. I mean, it's just the basic competition. I mean, there's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of Mercedes-Benz dealerships out there. I mean, right now, like if you just drive on the 101, in a matter of a half an hour, you can go from Calabasas to Encino to Van Nuys to Glendale, and that's just off the 101. And then you can, you know, dip over to the west side, and you got all the west side stores. So the biggest challenge is the competition. That's the biggest challenge, and you gotta follow up with people as quickly as you possibly can, because in this business, like the follow-up is the key. You got to follow up with somebody as quickly as you possibly can, because they'll just go on to the next guy. And that's the main thing I would tell anybody if they're starting out. You got to be patient. I mean, patience is key. I mean, you usually get crapped out. You can get, you know, you get a couple of bad months and you're automatically thinking about, you know, a career change. When in 2002, I had a lot of bad months. Like it was crazy. And I really thought about getting out of it and why did I get into this business? But you got to be patient and you just got to stay the course, keep doing the right thing, stay in your lane, and you eventually get a book of business. And I got guys now on their, you know, 7th, 8th, 9th cars sometimes, because everybody leases. Like nobody really buys cars anymore. So 24 months, 36 months, 48-month leases, and time goes by quick. So they always want their new car, and if they're comfortable with you, they'll stick with you and they'll refer you people, and it's just one big snowball.
Yeah, you talk about competition, and that's always like in every business, right? From contracting to even, you know, hospitals to, you know, in my business, I do sales with insurance and stuff like that, real estate, obviously. What's a significant difference between your main competitors, say BMW, Lexus, and Infiniti, if you were to, maybe target one or two differences that, well, why choose a Mercedes Benz?
The thing is, when you're comparing, our main competitor is a BMW. That's the main competitor we got. I mean, every now and again you get Lexuses. Every now and again you get, a Porsche guy coming in. But the main competitor is BMW. And there's nothing wrong with a BMW. I've had a BMW when I was younger. It's a great car, but whenever you compare the brands, you're always looking at it from the standpoint of like a Mercedes-Benz. If you drive a Mercedes, it's very difficult to get out of a Mercedes and go to anything else because you become comfortable in the car and you know the car inside and out. And if you kind of like drove one Mercedes, you can very easily drive almost anything else you want, any other Mercedes-Benz you want, and you get used to it. You can go from a C-Class to an E-Class to an S-Class easily, and you'll know the car without even me going over it with you. A BMW is much more of like a sportier ride. It's not as smooth, I would say, as a Mercedes-Benz is. It's not really as, I think, comfortable as a Mercedes-Benz is. And I've seen everything. I've seen all kinds of cars on trade that come in. If it's an X5, a 7 Series, a 5 Series, a 3 Series, they're awesome cars. They're wonderful cars. But when you compare it to a Mercedes and you drive a Mercedes, it's very difficult to get out of that brand and go into anything else just because you're like, I don't want to have to like go to another brand and drop down, because people think they drop down when they get out of a Mercedes, which more often than not, they're right.
Yeah, yeah. So you talked a little bit about kind of the utilization of the vehicle and obviously the performance. Like if someone, is thinking of like upgrading, say they're driving right now a Toyota, Japanese kind of import,
Right.
not necessarily a Lexus, and then they're choosing like what factors would you kind of help them out with?
I mean, if they're in a Lexus right now and they want to come into a Mercedes-Benz, the biggest thing is always cost. Everybody always perceives Mercedes-Benz as being like an expensive car, and it's really not. I mean, it's not. I mean, there are some that are. I mean, if you get into the AMGs and some of the S classes and things like that, those are pretty expensive rides. But some of the newer brands like the A220, there's a GLB 250 that just came out. It's a great car, and these are cars that are direct competitors to the Lexus IS 300s, and I think the RX on their side is a very good competitor of ours as well. And it's easy for them to come over to us and look at our car, drive our car, feel our car, and get impressed by our car, as opposed to going back to a Lexus. Like some people love Lexus. Some people drive it for 20 years, 25 years, and never want to get out of it because they're so comfortable with the car. But if anybody wants to, drive a Mercedes-Benz, it's a very easy transition, because a Lexus is a very easy car to drive. It's not that complicated. A Mercedes-Benz is not that complicated to get used to, and it'll be a very easy transition if somebody wants to come over to our side and look at a couple of our cars and be like, hey, this is a nice car. It's affordable, it's nice, it's comfortable, and easy to drive.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of myths in terms of when people want to, get into electric car. And so one of the myths, obviously, number one, is maintenance cost. Two,
Right.
I mean, longevity. They're always worried about, okay, if in 5-6 years, if the wear and tear occurs, and I'd have to, get it repaired, and the parts are expensive. And then obviously 3, it's the purchase process. You touch upon it, the leasing and the finance agreement. Those are kind of, I would say, barriers and difficulties of someone entering the Mercedes, pursuing Mercedes in that aspect. So if you can touch upon, or kind of unravel those myths a little bit, touch upon that.
Sure. As far as like maintenance is concerned, there isn't really a whole lot of maintenance at all. I mean, you got to service the car once a year. If you do, let's say, a 36-month lease, you're really servicing it 2 times. So you got to service the first year, service it the second year, and then after that, it's already time to bring the car back. So the services are probably going to cost you. The first service is probably between $200 and maybe $260, tax included, for the first service. We give you a loaner car to drive. If you don't want to wait the 2 hours or however long it's going to take you to get that car serviced. The second service is probably going to cost you between, I would say, $350 and $450. Depending upon what actually needs to get done to the car. The service B is what it's called, and that gets done at 20,000 miles. The first service done at 10,000 miles. So basically, you got to service it every 10,000 miles, and it's really not that expensive at all. I mean, obviously, if you start getting to like the tires and the brakes and all that stuff, we have run flat tires. Run flat tires last a long time. And run flat tires can last you 16, 17,000 miles. And it's, if you want to get them replaced, obviously they're kind of pricey, but you could always shop around and go to tire shops, things like that. Going to a dealer is always pretty pricey when it comes to tires, because you can get a much better deal if you go to like Tire Rack or you find a tire online. As far as like, the whole negotiation process when it comes to actually buying the car, I try to make that, because I know that's a very big sticking for a lot of clients. I try to make it as easy as you can. There's no issue. If you call me up looking for a number on a car, I'm just going to flat out give it to you, and I'll tell you what it is. And there is no, I try to eliminate all the back and forth, because I don't want to go back. Yeah. And I have a lot of clients that I have to call. So the more people I talk to on a day-to-day basis, the more cars I feel like I can sell. So if you're looking for like, an E350 four-door sedan, I'll tell you it's going to cost you, X amount down. If you want to drive, let's say 10,000 miles, and you want to put $2,000 out of your pocket, this is your payment. If you want this option, this option, this option, and this option on the car, I'll email it to you. I'll tell you how long the deal is good for, and I'll try to see if you have any type of like fleet discounts. I mean, a lot of people work for big time companies, and people don't even know this, but if you work for a very large corporation, you get a better deal. Most people don't know that. You can pretty much get an extra, $15 to $20 off a month on a payment, and that's a lot of, because it adds up over 3 years. So I try to make it as easy as I can, because that's the most important part of it. Because if you make that easy, then they'll be like, oh, you got to go to Varouj. I mean, there's no nonsense, no BS. If you want a payment on a car, he'll give it to you. Yeah. So that's what I do.
Last myth, we are from California, and they talk about we're a green state. Everybody's trying to, go solar, and they're trying to take away the gas guzzler, and so that's one of the myths. I mean, like, how do you with the myths? How do you challenge that? Being a Mercedes-Benz aficionado,
we don't have, as of now, we don't have that many models that are electric cars. Like, we don't have that just yet. I mean, my wife, I got her a GLC 350, a hybrid, which is half electric. Sure. That car, the electric portion of that car is that much. The car constantly generates the battery. You're constantly charging the battery, so you're getting on charge. You probably get about 13 or 14 miles total. So if you're doing a lot of like city driving, where you got to go, like, my wife goes from the house to the market to your mom, come back. In LA, you can go from LA to Pasadena, and it'll probably take you maybe like 25 miles total. So 70% of that trip is all electric charged, and then the rest of it, the gas kick in. As with those now, but in a year, we're gonna have a lot more models that are all electric cars that are not, and it'll probably end up getting you, 200 miles, 250 miles on a charge, because that's where the business is going. That's where they're going. They really want to try to, have a lot of their model lines all have at least one model line that is strictly electric, because that's, especially with the environment and trying to keep the air as clean as we can. That's a big sticking point to a lot of people.
Great, man. I mean, I think all the myths. I mean, I own a Mercedes-Benz, and I think that it's a great car, but those myths are kind of made up to a degree, but it's all preferential, obviously. So kind of going to the next topic, like we're going back to your marketing, advertising. I mean, what's working currently in today's environment? I know a lot of business owners want to hear like more sales and marketing. I mean, I know you were going to those chat rooms, AOLs, you were dialing up, and hearing that. What are they doing now? Like, what is Mercedes doing now in terms of advertising, marketing? Is there any like deals that people get into so that they could get into a Mercedes if they're thinking about that in the future?
Social media right now is big. I mean, social media on I like Instagram. I think Instagram is probably one of the best models out of all of them to try and advertise yourself. I mean, it's free.
Yeah.
My name is Encino Man. That's my name on Instagram. So you try to promote, sales. Try to promote a car you may have just taken in that is a pretty unique car with a unique color combination, because that's where the business is headed. It's not really, we're expecting, people to come into the store and try to advertise so people can come in, because people don't want to come in anymore. They want you to go to them, and they want you to take it to their business. They want you to take it to their house, and even like test drives. I mean, I've driven from Encino down to like El Segundo just so a guy can test drive a car, because he was like, listen, you're 45 minutes away from me. I work out of the house. I don't really have a lot of time. And I was like, if I really want that deal, I'm going to have to drive this car down to his house to see if he likes it. And lucky enough, he did like it. He ended up getting the car off me, 3 weeks later. But it's mainly now geared towards you going to the client as opposed to the client really coming to you. Because back when I started, it was always, get the customer to the store, get the customer to the store. It's a whole new world now. That's not the case anymore. You got to start taking a lot more videos of the car, a lot more pictures of them, text message the clients, email the clients, and everyone's got a cell phone, and that's where you're doing all your business from is right off of your phone, because that's all people want to see.
So I know Amazon is huge, and I think they're kind of changing the world in terms of almost any industry. And I know Carvana comes up to mind because I get a lot of ads. Carvana basically, it kind of describes a little bit what you're talking about, how the person at home can shop online, can I want a green car, I want a leather interior, I want all the fixings. So is that where the industry is going to? And if that, do you think there'll be an Amazon of the car dealership world?
I think Amazon will probably buy a couple of car dealerships sometime soon. I think they will. I think that's where the business is definitely headed. I mean, my biggest thing right now, if you look at Tesla, Tesla has no dealerships. You got to go to the mall if you want to see a Tesla, So if you go to like the Century City Mall, there's a Tesla store in the Century City Mall. They have no salesmen. They have no finance managers. They have no sales managers. They got a few of their cars that are sitting out there on the floor, and they have, hourly employees that are telling you how to work a Tesla. And I hope the business doesn't come to that, because that means I have a job. So I don't know what will happen. But I think that's the model that they're kind of gearing towards, because you can buy anything you want on Amazon right now and have it delivered in a day, or sometimes even a couple of hours they'll get delivered to you. But I still think no matter what technology does, you still need someone to be knowledgeable about the car. You still need someone to negotiate with, because a lot of people that aren't just going to say yes to the first number you give them. Like that's impossible. That doesn't work in this day and age where, now with the economy being what it is, with, the COVID-19 going on, people are going to be watching every dollar they make. So you're still going to need some sort of interaction with, the dealer. You may not necessarily have to go to the dealer, because some people don't want to do that anymore. And you may not even have to, because right now, we're not even, unless you want to service your car, that's the only way you can pretty much come to the ship. You can really come to today on May the 2nd to look at cars and have me test drive cars with you and do all that. I can't even do that right now. So I think that's what the business is pretty much going after right now. Is it's going to be all digital. It's going to go straight to your phone, and eventually you're going to have to sign all the contracts right off of your phone. That's what it's going to go to. So that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. Lastly, you have any words of wisdom, and then kind of a two question approach. Anybody that wants to get into your line of business, you know, I mean, and then you said it's a, I mean, if someone loves Mercedes, there's people out there that just love the car and they want to get into it. Is there a specific road you want to get into? What type of people skills you need? You know, all those intangibles. If you could touch upon that, and then two, you know, if anybody's looking to purchase a car, you know, how can they reach you, and you know, and stuff like that.
In terms of like, if somebody wants to get into the business, the very first thing I'll tell anybody that we hire at the store, anybody that I've seen in the last few years that always comes up to me and says, you know, how do you get the book of business that you have? How did you get to where you are? And the very first thing I always tell them is patience. You have to have a lot of patience in this business, because people will, I mean, if you talk to a lot of people on a day-to-day basis and you get a lot of no's, no, I don't want the car, no, your payments are too high, that can bring you down. And if you have if you have enough confidence in you, which you really, really need in this day and age, in this business, you'll survive. But a lot of the business right now is mainly is patience, is what I would preach, and confidence. I mean, you got to go into it knowing that, you know, you're the most knowledgeable guy out there, you're the most intelligent guy out there, and you're definitely going to give somebody the information that they want. Because if somebody keeps asking you a specific question about the car, you got to ask them. You got to not ask, you got to answer the question. You know, you can't just veer off to another topic before answering that question, because if they think you're just like BSing them, they have no respect for you, and they'll never ever give you the time of day, and they won't give you their money. And if they don't give you their money, you're not going to sell them a car. So that's the main thing I tell everybody is you got to have a lot of patience in this business, and you got to have a lot of confidence in this business. So if you have those two things, you'll survive. And if you don't, it's a rough business to try and get into.
What about deals? You know, or like in terms of like how can they get in contact with you to you know, so you can offer them, and then obviously get more information about how to get into a Mercedes of their choice. You know, website, email. I'll put it too on this post. But if you could, you know, talk about that a little bit.
My main source of communicating with anybody, I'm rarely in the office. I mean, right now I'm working out of the house, but even when I'm in the office, I'm always out delivering cars, and the main thing I have is my cell phone. So people always text me. People always call me. My number is 310-200-9501. That's my cell phone. I've had it forever. You can text me, call me. I take phone calls up until about 8 o'clock at night. Nice. Then I gotta, you know, have dinner with the wifey. So that's my main source of communication. So if you have anybody that, you know, wants to get a new Mercedes Benz, just wants information about the car, feel free to give me a call, and I'll love to go over anything you want.
All right, Varouj, well, you know, thank you for, you know, visiting the Fresh Outlook, you know, for uncovering, number one, the myths of Mercedes-Benz.
Sure.
Describing the significant differences between your competitors, BMW and Lexus. And then three, you're the man for the latest deals and discounts.
Yeah, definitely.
You kind of probably sparked some light bulbs in people, you know, today. So hopefully get in touch with Varouj. Once again, this is Johnny G. I'm here to inspire, motivate, and hopefully I give you a fresh outlook today in today's luxury cars, specifically Mercedes-Benz. Contact Varouj. I'm going to drop his number and his IG so you can get in contact with him, and you know, you can talk, and he'll definitely hook you up with a nice Mercedes-Benz.